Hello everyone, let's start with the next topic, which is energy performance assessment of motor and variable speed drive. So, for energy performance assessment of motor, two parameters are important and they are efficiency and power factor. So, when it comes to efficiency, efficiency is output upon input, which can be stated as input minus losses divided by input. So, this is about the efficiency. And motor loading in percentage is given by actual operating load on the of the motor divided by the rated capacity of the motor into 100. So, now let us see how to get the efficiency. So, efficiency test. Here the input power measurement is simple, but the measurement of the output or the losses need some test to be performed, and for that the first is the field test. In field test, the first one is no load test. So here, as the name suggests, no load, the motor is run at a rated voltage and frequency without load, and the input power, current, frequency and voltage are noted, and the no load power factor is quite low. So we require a low power factor wattmeter for this test. For the input power, stator I square R losses under no load condition are subtracted to give the sum of friction and windage losses and the core losses. Now, to further separate the core and friction and windage losses, the test need to be repeated at the variable voltages. So, here you can see the friction and windage and core losses is equal to the no load power in watts minus no load current square into the stator resistance. Next efficiency test is stator and rotor I square R losses. So, the stator winding resistance is directly measured by the bridge or volt ampere method, and the resistance must be corrected to the operating temperature. For the modern motors, the operating temperature is likely to be in the range of 100 degrees Celsius to 120 degrees Celsius, and the necessary correction should be made, and the correction to 75 degrees Celsius may be inaccurate. The correction factor is given as follows. So, it is R2 divided by R1 is equal to 235 plus T1 plus T2 divided by 235 plus T1. So, where T1 is the ambient temperature in degree Celsius and T2 is the operating temperature in degree Celsius. The rotor resistance can be determined from the locked rotor test at the reduced frequency, but the rotor I square R losses are measured from the measurement of rotor slip, which is given by rotor I square losses equals to slip into stator input minus stator I square R losses minus core losses. So, accurate measurement of the slip is possible by the stroboscopic or the non-contact type tachometer. Next is stray load losses. These losses are difficult to measure with an accuracy, and the IEEE standard 112 gives a complicated method which is rarely used on the shop floor. So, IS and IEC standard takes a fixed value of 0.5% of the output. It must be remarked that actual value of the stray losses is likely to be more, and the IEEE 112 specifies value from 0.9% to 1.8%. So, you can see the table in which the motor rating is being given and the stray losses. After efficiency test, next is to determining the motor loading. So the first is by input power measurement. So first is to measure the input power, that is PI. PI is the three-phase power in the kW. Next is to note the rated kW and the efficiency from the motor nameplate. And here the kW is the for the output condition. So for corresponding input power at the full rated load is given by PIR equals to nameplate full rated kW divided by full load efficiency. So here from this we can find out the input power at the full rated load. Next is the percentage loading can be calculated after getting the value of the input power at the full rated load. So which is given by load equals to PI divided by PIR into 100. Now the next method is by line current measurement. The line current load estimation method is used when the input power cannot be measured and only the amperage measurement are possible. The ampere drawn of motor varies approximately linear with respect to the load and down to about 75% of the full load, and below the 75% load point the power factor degrades and the amperage curve becomes increasingly non-linear. So in the low load region the current measurement are not a useful indicator of the load. However, this method may be used only as a preliminary method just for the purpose of the identification of oversized motor. So the formula is percentage load equals to input load current divided by input rated current into 100. So it is valid up to 75% loading. Next is slip method. In absence of power meter, the slip method can be used which requires tachometer. So this method also does not give an exact loading of the motor but can be found out. So load equals to slip divided by SS minus SR into 100. So here slip is synchronous speed minus the measured speed in RPM. SS is the synchronous speed in RPM at the operating frequency and SR is the nameplate full load speed. So in this way we can get the loading on the motor. Next is performance evaluation of rewound motors. Ideally, a comparison should be made of efficiency before and after rewinding. So a relatively simple procedure for evaluating the rewinding quality is to keep a log of no load input current each motor in the population, and this figure increases with the poor quality rewinds. A review of the rewind shop's procedure should also provide some indication of the quality of the work, and when rewinding a motor, if smaller diameter wire is used then the resistance and the I square R losses will increase. So this was about the motor. Next let us see variable frequency drive, that is VFD, also called as variable speed drive. So a VSD basic principle of operation is to convert the electrical system frequency and voltage to the frequency and voltage required to drive a motor at a speed other than its rated speed. So the two most basic function of VSD are to provide power conversion from one frequency to another and to enable control of output frequency. As you can see the conversion from the diagram. So here, as you can see in the diagram, there are the two conversions first from the rectifier and the inverter. So the rectifier receives the 60 or you can say 50 hertz AC voltage, convert it to DC voltage. Then a DC bus inside the VSD functions as a parking lot for the DC voltage. Then the DC bus energizes the inverter, which convert it back to the AC voltage again, and the inverter can be controlled to produce an output frequency of proper value for the desired motor shaft speed. So this is how a VFD or VSD functions. So now let us see what are the factors for successful implementation of variable speed drive. So the first is load type. So the main consideration is whether the variable frequency drive application requires a variable torque or the constant torque drive. Next is motor information. Motor information like the full load, ampere rating, speed range, etc. Next is efficiency and power factor. The variable speed drive should have an efficiency rating of 95% or better at the full load, and also the variable frequency drive should offer power factor of 0.95 or better. And the last is protection and the power quality. So the motor overload protection for instantaneous trip and motor overcurrent with some additional protection should be provided. So this is about the VFD or you can say VSD. So that's all for this video.